We've redesigned 7 liveries out of the 10. Today, it's the turn of the Mercedes and the Alpine. 2 teams who have changed up their look significantly compared to last season. So let's go in chronological order, starting with the Mercedes. At the actual car on track, because I'm filming this on testing day 1. So we actually have real images of the car to look at, no more renders. I will definitely have to go back and re-review some of these liveries because on the actual cars compared to the show car or a render, totally different. But anyway, starting with the Mercedes, a car that I loved the renders of. I wasn't so keen of the initial real world shots of it, but now, look, I'm still kind of in 2 minds, to be honest. From a front angle, I think it looks so good. I love the front view of this car, but from a side profile, and it's not so much against the livery, it's more the car just looks a bit clunky. The proportions of the car itself aren't quite there for me from a purely aesthetic merit. And as for the livery, I mean, they've kept the solid kind of teal stripe, which, I mean, I preferred the more kind of soft edge 2019 version. They brought back the full silver, which, I mean, I don't have a problem with. That is their brand color, and the implementation of the Mercedes kind of triangle things at the back, I don't love it. The Ineos at the top is always again, from the side profile looking at this car, it's definitely not one of my favorites. I would have liked to have seen more black maybe at the back of the car, gradient into the silver, exactly what they did in 2019. I absolutely loved that Mercedes, and I wish they'd kind of harked back to that a bit more with this design. So all things considered, I'm going to give the Mercedes a 6.5. Front angle is one of my favourite front angles of any F1 car this season, but the side, the shape of the car, it really lets it down for me, unfortunately. So that's what I think of the real thing. Now time for my redesign of the 2022 Mercedes. Here she is. Now, I think more than any other livery we've talked about before, I really do prefer this Racing Studio model of the car compared to the real thing because I don't like the physical aesthetic of the Mercedes. But try and look past that. Let's look at the actual livery and see what I've done differently. I've changed up the front wing. Let's look at the front first and foremost. So I've changed this up a little bit. I've just given it a slightly different vibe with the silver coming down on these bits and the teal up here for Petronas, Cintium. Team view logos down here. I moved this team view a bit to there. It's more symmetrical that way. Big Mercedes on the front. All the sponsors up here. Pretty much the same. 44 for Lewis Hamilton. Let's come around to the side. Actually, let's go this side because then this bit isn't reflected. And the biggest change I've made, well, the 2 main changes. So again, we've gone for a more 2019 style swoosh up here because I prefer it when it's kind of got a softer edge rather than the solid edge. I thought that was really nice. But also I've moved Ineos from up here to down here instead, which for me still gives it very prominent placement. Could you argue it's slightly less prominent? Maybe, but it's certainly still, it's not hiding, it's still got the red there. But I feel like in this position, it just, I don't know, I think it complements the car a bit nicer than having it stuck up here as its own kind of separate thing. On the real car, it looks like too much of a just plonk on top and just a bit of an afterthought, whereas I think this is, I don't know, I just like this more. And as you can see on the side, I have faded the silver out into the black again, 2019 style with the little kind of Mercedes triangle print. Moved AMD up here because Ineos is now there. These bits are pretty much the same. Come around to the back, and I did actually work out how to properly paint these rear wings now. So we've got the big Ineos on the rear wing, but not all red on the inside of the rear wing because I don't like that on the Mercedes. Actually, I forgot to mention that before. You can still see the Le Bouton style red bottoms here, but it's not fully red on the inside. I didn't like that. Rear wing's pretty similar with Petronas and a little bit of silver there, and wing mirrors are black with a little bit of teal on top. Outline the Petronas and the AMG with white just to make them pop a little bit more, which is what I believe they do with the real car. And we've got some Ineos logos going on the halo as well. And that's it. This is my adaptation of the Mercedes on, again, a car I think looks a lot better physically, and I also think this is a better livery personally. But as always, what I think doesn't matter. Let me know out of 10. How do you rate my Mercedes compared to the real thing? Did I make it better? Did I make it worse? And then on to the Alpine. This is a really frustrating one. I really wanted to love the Alpine. It was one of my favourite liveries last season. The beautiful metallic blue with the A down the side and the hints of black. Alpine's first season in Formula One, being called Alpine anyway. It looked amazing. And when the title sponsorship with BWT was announced, I was pretty excited because yes, blue and pink is a strong combination, but I think it can definitely work. Question is, has it worked? For me, no. It hasn't. I've seen the renders, I've seen it in real life now, and I don't like it. I really, really wish I liked it. Like, Alpine are the team I'm rooting for, probably more than any other team going into this season. I want to love it, and I just don't. And a big part of it is there's still red on the car with the pink, and that clashes so much to me. Look, map free, I'm sure they would have been uncompromising in being like, we want red on our car. And obviously last season, you had the Alpine, blue, white, red. That is their colour combination, so it worked a treat. But this year, now we're incorporating pink as well. From this side angle, if I just cover the rear wing and cover the side pod, it looks fantastic. Since I moved my hands away, I'm like, no, what have you done? To make blue, white, red and pink work together is almost an impossible task. It is a real shame. Also on the rear wing, I don't like the fact that there's pink underneath the Castrol. On the Yahoo, I think that should have just stayed blue personally. Front angle, I'm still not keen, to be honest. It's really not my cup of tea. I mean, from the direct rear angle, actually, it looks pretty good because we can't really see the pink or the red. Look, I've got to be honest to my opinion with these reviews, and it's almost worse because we had such a good livery last season and the potential is clearly there with this one. And it's just, pink has ruined it, which, you know, for a man who built his old channel off of the colour pink, you might be surprised to hear, but it just doesn't work everywhere. So I'm giving this Alpine a 3 out of 10. Sorry, Sean, but it's not my cup of tea. But hold on a minute, we're not done with Alpine. Of course, no, because they launched 2 liveries, didn't they? We saw this one and we were like, okay, cool. And then they were like, actually, here's another car, which is even more pink. And you know what? I think fully embracing the pink, fully going for it and not having it as a kind of half and half colour with the blue, but having it as the dominant colour, I prefer this car. I think this car looks better. Is it because it's a reborn Force India Racing Point? Maybe that nostalgia is kicking in. But I think the balance of this all pink livery that they're just going to be running for the first 2 races of the season in 2022, I like it a lot more. Does it still have the red in there? Yes. Do I still not like that the red's in there? Yes, because you can see the fundamental design, the composition of it is the same. It's just now they've slapped pink all the way over the top of the car, all the way down to the nose. The front angle of this pink Alpine, Ralpine, Racing Peen, whatever you want to call it, is stunning to me. I love it. I know it's on the show car in the real life shot, but I love this real life shot. I think it's fantastic. I've got a feeling that after the second race of the season, when we're going to go back to the mainly blue livery, I'm going to be quite sad about that. Because I gave that livery a 3 out of 10. I'm giving this pink one, I'm going to say a 7.5. Yes, it's not perfect. Yes, it's a bit clunky in places, but I'm a sucker for a pink F1 car, clearly. So now let's take a look at my version, Tomo's edition of the 2022 Alpine. Well, here we go. I have gone for it with this one. And let me know in the comments below, where do you think I took inspiration from this design from? The composition specifically, you might recognize it. Correct, it is from the 2020, 2019, 2018, before that, Renault, where they had, this was kind of, this pink would have been yellow. So you had the yellow from the top angle, it was very yellow on the front wing and the top here, and then you had the 2 lines coming down. And then from the side, it was mainly black, which is now blue on this. I've basically straight up ripped that design because I was like, you know what? I think that could work. You've got 2 very, very strong colours here with the pink and the blue. So almost in the same way that Renault really lent into that with the yellow and the black contrast, I've kind of gone down the same alley here. So again, from the top angle, I really liked how the Renault was all yellow pretty much from the top and then all black from the side. All pink from the top, mainly, obviously, apart from the side pods, and all blue from the side. I've also put some black onto the livery as well, just on the front wing and the rear wing. And yeah, you know what? I'm not sure if I prefer this, I'll be honest, but I mean, from a front angle, I like it. I like what I've done with the front wing here. Got a little bit of blue for the Binance sponsorship, but BWT bloody everywhere, all over the front wing, rear wing, on the side. And as you can see from the back, I've been like, you know what, map 3, if you really insist on keeping the red, fine, but you're going on the rear wing. We've seen this quite often with teams, particularly McLaren with the Husky chocolate, where Husky insisted being red, but for McLaren to avoid having any red on the livery, they were like, fine, go on the rear wing. Big logo, rear wing, you can have your red, okay? But what that does mean is that there's no red on the side. Apart from the Castrol, to be fair, Castrol does have red text, of course, but for me, I still think that works. I can kind of accept it with Castrol because you've got the red that's on the white, which is on the green, rather than being red straight on this blue pink. And it's kind of enough away from the pink that it's not really clashing with it too much. But yeah, the composition on the side is pretty much the same as the real car here. I've just put Microsoft here instead of map 3. Come around to the back and it's all black down here. There's no more pink under this. Again, I just don't like that. Yahoo sings a little bit more then with a bit more contrast there. Yes, this car feels a bit like an ice cream parlour, doesn't it? So I've gone with quite bulbous text just to fit those kind of fun vibes. And I've made the text on the pink white instead of black. For me, there's a bit more legibility of the white on the pink. I know that might be different on the real thing, but for this model, I've gone with white. Alpine along here, Genie, blah, 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 all that good stuff. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty Marmite. I really like the Mercedes that I just did, but this is a bit more, it's very out there. The colour palette we've been given, it's a difficult one to make work. Again, I don't envy the job of the Alpine designers to make this car work. It's always an infinitely more difficult task to actually create a real livery than it is to just whack up a concept like I'm doing. I promise you that. So that's my version. Let me know out of 10. Did I make it better? Did I make it worse? Because I'm not so sure on this one, I'll be honest. That's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching. One more livery to go, the Alfa Romeo, when that eventually launches on the 29th. My name's been Tomo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.